the last time you were here, you had what I deemed a crazy idea. You were planning to go on a cross-country trip with a bunch of your buddies on Vespas.
Yeah.
Which is like, it starts off sounding very masculine, and then the word Vespas comes in at the end. And it sounds like like tourists in Italy.
Totally cuts the feet out of it.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
And I thought you were, I didn't think you really were going to do it, but you really did do this.
We did it, but you're right and you're wrong. I had this idea, but it wasn't a crazy idea. It was a stupid idea.
A stupid idea.
The dumbest. I mean, really, it was so stupid.
You thought it was a great idea last time you were here.
Halfway through, I was still like, this is a brilliant idea, and everyone else on the trip wanted to kill me.
I see. So who went on this trip, just to start with?
So we had a group of us. There was about 8 or 9 riders, and then we also had another guy on a bike with a camera, and then another support vehicle following us.
Okay.
So it wasn't like we were completely out there on our own, but it was, I mean, 3 of the people had never ridden motorcycles before the trip.
Okay.
In their life.
And they still haven't, by the way.
Yeah, no, by the way, you're totally right. It's left some serious scars on people. They're done. Like, I know people who still have never gotten on a bike from it. Oh, absolutely.
These are scooters that you guys were on. In fact, I think we have a picture of this. Yeah, now there you guys are.
Yeah.
On scooters. So sorry, we might get run over here.
So this was, well, we started in L.A. We started at Vespa of Sherman Oaks, and we left from there.
That's where all great journeys begin.
Naturally. And we were like, you know what? Our first stop, Joshua Tree. What is that? That's 2.5 hours by car on Vespa. You know, that'll be a good first ride. Everyone can kind of get their feet wet a little bit. It took us about 13.5 hours. And it got down to 14 degrees the first night. This is Southern California still. So literally, we get to Joshua Tree after about 13 hours of riding. It's 3 in the morning at this point. It's well below freezing, and we stop, and you know, there were multiple rules on the trip. You couldn't pay for lodging, which included campgrounds or hotels or anything like that.
Whose rules were these?
These are my stupid rules.
I see, okay.
Yeah. So you couldn't pay for lodging. You couldn't go to any chain establishment. You couldn't stay anywhere but outside, and you can only take what you could carry or strap to your Vespa.
Okay, all right.
So the first night, we're outside of Joshua Tree, and we know we can't go into Joshua Tree because we can't afford to stay anywhere. So So we find a spot like way outside of Joshua Tree, and it's freezing. I mean, it's well below freezing. So any water that people have is no good. It's ice at this point. Like it's rough. And everybody gets off and parks their bike and looks at me and kind of goes, "What the did you do?" Like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? This is the dumbest idea. And you know, that was really the trend, kind of all the way through till we made it to the end. But yeah.
You're like a cult leader. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Your wife didn't go on this trip, did she?
My wife wouldn't have gone on this if you would have paid her any amount of money in the world. She was like, "You guys sound like you're stupid, and I know this is a stupid idea, so you guys go be stupid." And she met us halfway in San Antonio, and then she met us at the end when we got to the Florida Keys, because she doesn't want a trip down to the Florida Keys. Why not? And that's where we finished the trip.
And was this when you finish in the Florida Keys, do you then just drive the Vespas into the sea and never get them on them again, or how does it go?
You know, if we didn't have to return the Vespas, I'm not only certain that there are people who would have driven them in the sea, I'm sure there are people who would have lit them on fire.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, just hatred for these things.
That's a long way to go on a Vespa. It really is.
I mean, it was 12 hours a day of pretty much for 21 days.
Did you do anything bikerish? Did you do anything that was, really kind of crazy or anything like that?
Yeah, things got weird. I mean, you have a group of guys who are crossing the country, staying in the middle of nowhere and all that. I mean, we had some close calls. We had some at one point, we stayed outside of Yuma, Arizona. And we were like, okay, now we got to get from Yuma to Phoenix.
Right.
But there's no main road except for an interstate that gets you from Yuma to Phoenix.
That's true.
Yeah, so everyone was like, well, what do we do? And so everyone was like, okay, no, we got this. We're fine. So everyone kind of pulls out Google Maps, and they're kind of zooming out a little bit, and they go, you know, it looks like all desert from here to Phoenix, but it looks like there's roads. It doesn't say road, but it looks like there's trails. I think we can make this. So everyone kind of starts, and we get off the pavement onto a dirt road, and it's hard packed, and everyone's kind of riding. They're like, yeah, this is the adventure. We're not even on a road. We're really owning this. And all of a sudden, the road gets a little bit softer, and the Vespa kind of does one of those, and you're like, all right, no, I'm cool. Go, keep riding. And then it does one of those. You're like, whoa, whoa, what the hell? And you kind of ride on and then all of a sudden, the road gets so soft that you can't sit on you have to walk next to your Vespa as you're pushing it like up a dune, and you're just like, we're gonna die out here. And we thought we were gonna die out there at one point until, as we're kind of pushing through the desert, this truck that's all white and green and very intimidating with lights on comes flying at us out of the middle of nowhere, and we're just like, oh my God, it's the Border Patrol. Like, what have we done? So he basically comes up and he goes, what the hell are you guys doing? And we go, sir, we're crossing the country on Vespas. And he goes, no, 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 no. What are you doing? What drugs are you running? What's the deal? We're like, honestly, like, if you want to pull up your phone, do you have a phone? Like, look up Instagram, hashtag 4K the hard way. It's there, you got the whole thing. Like, and he looks it up and he's kind of giving us the eye and he looks at it for a second. He goes, hey, that's, you guys are crazy. And it's just like, what the hell are you doing in the middle of the desert? He goes, man, I'm really glad I stopped you. And we're kind of like, oh, yeah, us too. Yeah. We're glad you're here. And he goes, no, he goes, because you see that hill right there? And it was, I mean, like maybe double the distance across Hollywood Boulevard. He goes, that hill right there is Mexico. And if you would have gotten any closer, I wouldn't have been able to let you come back. So, we basically were like, oh, good story, just don't search the bikes. Okay, but whatever you want to do, you know? And he ends up saying to us, he goes, do you guys want to see something cool? And we're still nervous at this point that we're being sort of detained by the Border Patrol. And we go, yeah, of course, anything you want to show us. And he goes, I'll show you some roads that only old drug dealers use. Well, we use them, but really old drug dealers. And we're like, yeah, great, sure. And he goes, okay, so I'm gonna start driving, and then you guys drive on my tire tracks, because it'll kind of press the sand a little bit, and we'll be able to get you guys out of here. And that's how we ended up getting out of the desert from Yuma to Phoenix, Arizona.
You are easily the worst travel agent ever. I am Jimmy Kimmel. If you like that, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all our latest videos before they die and go to YouTube heaven.